Hi, this is Dr. Sonia McGowan with Covenant Integrative Wellness, and I'm here with Brandon and Sarah Rabel. They are Jackson's mom and dad. So welcome, guys.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thanks.
All right. So we have been working together about a year and a half. Is that right?
Yes, I think so.
Right around there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when you came to my office because it was the morning that I shut my hand in my car door and I could barely write. That was October of 17 because my finger still isn't quite the same. So you guys are forever in my memory.
Never associated with pain.
No kidding.
Right. So your little guy, Jackson. Mama, how about you? Just tell me about him. Tell me how old he is and just what he's like.
Okay. Jackson is 5. He is really loves to play. He loves very active little boy. He is into everything. He's very fun-loving, very sweet kid. I don't know. He loves to be outside. He loves to play with all kinds of trains and pirate ships and all that stuff. He's got a great imagination.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's him.
Brandon, tell me a little bit about how you knew something wasn't quite right with Jackson.
I would say probably lack of social skills and communication was first what had me worried a little bit. And we continued to see outbursts as well. It was very hard to take him places. And the further we got along, the more I thought something probably was not right. Looking back also, I would say I should have noticed more of the bowel habits. Just really didn't think about things like constipation being an issue early on in life. But I would say probably the outbursts, the lack of language, lack of social skills at all. I mean, completely devoid. Would maybe do things with family members occasionally, but it was just not there.
Yeah. And so tell me, Brandon, some more about what the outbursts looked like.
Let's say we go to a restaurant, and he would just be belligerent and angry acting, crying a lot. Couldn't tell us anything, obviously. Just being very loud and making a big disruption. I remember one time at Cheddar's where it was awful, absolutely awful. He was standing in a chair and screaming and and I'm talking, we hadn't been there 5-10 minutes probably. And it was just, we went through the whole dinner that way.
Wow.
Just very, I wouldn't say overly violent. I would just say so loud and crying a lot. And every once in a while violent. I mean, he would hit people or kick people, Yeah.
Well, and that's not you guys. Like, you don't raise out of control kids. You guys have it going on. So to have a child who's so sort of out of control had to have been really hard on your family, on your marriage, on your extended family.
Very much so. I was, thinking back, I was noticeably annoyed much of the time. And when I say annoyed, I did not understand what I was dealing with. And at times my emotions got the best of me because I'm like, what is going on with my child? I have no control right now. None. Yeah. And you're right. Because our first two were really very easy and still are very easy to raise. And that whole part was really rough.
Yeah. So, Sarah, tell me what you did to pursue help and a diagnosis for Jackson.
Well, I think probably, I don't know, it goes back to, I think whenever he was 3, he went in for his wellness visit and we talked to the doctor a little bit. And I think for me, that was when it kind of solidified in my mind. Brandon had definitely had concerns about autism, and he thought this was kind of where Jackson was at. And I still really wasn't on track with that yet. I wasn't sure if that was what was going on. And so when we went to his checkup, the doctor said, we definitely would need to look into this kind of farther down the line. And I don't know, I remember thinking this is kind of where, that was kind of the turning point for me, when I felt like, okay, this is where changes need to start happening and we need to figure it out. It was very overwhelming, but Brandon had heard about you, Dr. McGowan, whenever we were, I think we were at a speech appointment, and you'd seen some articles in a magazine that you had written.
Yeah.
And we realized that you were in Jefferson City, which is really, within a day's drive for us easily. And so we thought, well, this would be a good place to check someone out that could help us, because our pediatrician was a nice person and we like him a lot, but he wasn't really, he could help us with getting into speech therapy, and that was helpful, but it didn't seem like it was doing enough. And so that's kind of where we needed more help than what we were getting right then. So, and we had started to kind of go along and get him into preschool around the time he was 3 as well, which it was helping as well. All these things are pieces of the puzzle. It was just, we were still seeing a lot of outbursts, with him in preschool and all of that. And so we just needed more help. So
yeah. So you pursued preschool and speech therapy. Any other therapies for him that you've done?
We've done horse therapy. We did that last summer, summer of 2018, I guess. And it's difficult to schedule everything. And so horse therapy we're able to do in the summer, which is great. Brandon's a teacher, so he's able to take him, at least once a week for horse therapy, I think for about an 8-week session. And then we do speech therapy twice a week. And then in preschool, he also gets speech therapy for an hour sometime during the week. So that's kind of where we're at currently. And actually we're starting music therapy, but we haven't started that yet. We're excited about it. So
nice. Very good. So Brandon, can you look back at a time where maybe Jackson was coming along okay and then something happened and caused a regression?
Well, I don't know that there's been huge regressive things. I mean, just through reading and research, just seeing so many parents out there, what I would consider a regression, I don't know that I've seen like a massive, just complete loss of things. I would say that, I didn't used to believe in full moon stuff, but there were points in time where consistently, he just didn't act quite as right for a day or two around the full moon.
Uh-huh.
And so I started tracking it because I'm one of those that really likes to see kind of some evidence on some things. And sure enough, he acted a little different around those things. I also would say that there's been here or there that he cheated once we found out he had food allergies. And it was real clear the day after, and actually even I would say 2 days after, that he had cheated on something because his behavior was different. Certainly more hyper, didn't mind as well, and in a lot of cases didn't talk as well either. And then you would get probably 72 hours past that where he did cheat, and it would start to go back to where we were, and then we could hopefully make progress from those points. But those are probably the clearest things in my mind whenever we aggravated, when we found out he had allergies.
Gotcha.
And then the full moon.
So tell me, Brandon, kind of give the viewers a synopsis of what you guys have done with me. Like, what kinds of testing did we do? What did we find? What kind of interventions have we done together for Jackson?
Okay, so we've done a lot of homeopathy to go after some viral stuff. We have done blood tests to look at those virals and determine what was there. We've done 2 different urine and stool tests through Genova Diagnostics to assess things like acid levels in his blood, cholesterol counts. amino acids, those types of things. And in looking at those, we've tried to address gut issues with things like intestinal restore. I know we've done a parasite protocol. Currently, we had just done some more homeopathy actually to address Klebsiella. The other one's escaping me. A long school day.
Yeah, for sure.
But we've gone after the gut. We've gone after, I'd say that's the big one. And we've done that because it looked like he wasn't absorbing anything. Restore, I know, was a big one. Another one that we used that worked actually well, it was a drainage remedy, was Apo-Infect, part of the homeopathy that seemed to really help him out. You're a big fan of the ion cleanse, and we had actually, I believe we actually bought one of those before we came to see you, but it was early on. And so you've kind of directed us in where to go with that usage. We've done homeopathy, we've done some additional supplements, biomed type stuff, still doing the ion cleanse. And
Okay. Sarah, tell me, Sarah, about the food allergies. What did we find there?
Found a lot. We found, honestly, a lot of the things that Jackson likes to eat he was allergic to. And so we found dairy products. He can't have any dairy products. He can't have any beef for that matter. He can't have chicken, which, there's limits a lot. There were several things like garlic that, it's in so many foods that, that can trigger things, and it makes us really think hard about going out to eat with him, because we really have to be certain that the way that they're preparing it, garlic is in a lot of stuff. And so I think that's been challenging, but certainly worth it, because whenever you look at, like Brandon was saying, whenever he gets off of it for, cheats or whatever, it definitely, you can tell a big difference in his attitude and his, general demeanor. Definitely tell it. So it's been worth it. And I would say I was definitely not sure how we were going to do it, because whenever I first got it, there's stuff on there like almonds and, stuff that is really pretty good stuff for you. But it was a little overwhelming, but it definitely is worth it now that we kind of are into it now. And, you get into it and you kind of start looking at recipes and how to do things, and it's doable. It's just, a little overwhelming at the start. We just kind of take it a step at a time. So, but yeah, it's going really well, I think, with that.
So Brandon, tell me, if you were to compare your kid in October of 17 to how he is now in terms of behavior, language, digestion, poops, how has he changed?
Well, I'll try to give the condensed version. He's way better. Obviously, maturity is a little bit of that, I think, but it's very clear that he understands most of what you say, that he speaks much better, especially when there's emotion involved. If the kid is mad, or if he really wants something, all of a sudden, he's much clearer and he can tell you. So that's awesome. He definitely is. I don't know that we could have told you he was learning anything in 17. I really don't honestly know that. And now we know that he is, and he retains a lot. He has an excellent memory. It's just now, at the point of his recovery that we're at, it's a matter of figuring out how to help him learn what his styles are. But he's a vastly different child, and a number of the things that we've done, specifically you mentioned the food allergy stuff, that's been huge. Honestly, one of the things that's recent, and because we talked about this the last time we had an appointment, was it was really bizarre, but his speech improved noticeably the day we started giving him Alka-Seltzer Gold, which makes no sense to me at all. None. And so that's one of those deals where if you told somebody that, And if you told me that, if somebody else told me that, I would have said, no, okay, show me what's in it and tell me why in the world that would help speech. It makes no sense at all to me. But the way you describe, what it does, other than just being an antacid, the moving of nutrients and those types of things throughout the body could be critical to a kid that can't do that on their own, which our son is that way, it appears, based on the stool test that we did. So, I would say he's dramatically different, and I don't want to give the impression that he's anywhere near fully recovered or anything like that, but he is way better than he was. And I would say the amount of hope that we have that it will get all the way there is, first off, I don't know if it was there when we first came to see you. And if it was, it had been stomped on.
Right.
And we now can see that as a possibility.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Yeah, that he's a very different guy. And I think we ran across some issues where, we were making a little progress and then it felt like we sort of hit a wall.
Yeah.
Last summer when you guys came here. And, we were like, well, we can try a viral panel, we can try food allergies. And sure enough, we got the blood draw taken care of and we got food allergy results. We got a viral panel positive, and that sort of opened a new gate and let us kind of keep going forward. So I think it's important for parents to know that, sometimes you hit a plateau and you've just got to, keep chipping away with what could this be? What else haven't we uncovered? Because like Sarah, like you said, knowing what his food allergies were have been a major thing for him. Yeah, that's fantastic. What kind of support do you guys have in terms of family and friends around you to help support you through this journey?
We have a lot of family and friends. It's very helpful and very necessary for us to have that in place. So my parents are very supportive. They live in the same subdivision that we do, so they're very helpful. They pick up the kids once to twice a week, depending on the week. And, they're very helpful as far as, if we can't get off work or if we have a conflict and Jackson needs to go to therapy or something like that, they're on top of it. They're there to help us and definitely want to support us all the way. And honestly, just emotionally, sometimes we have to share, with our home group from church, like they're an amazing resource to have just because we need to have that outlet as parents. And that's really important. And then we have two amazing daughters that are really, they are in it with us for sure. They are some amazing big sisters to Jackson. And so that is definitely, it's important to have everybody on the same page and everybody working hard to make sure he does the best he can. So, and then, Brandon's family, we see them quite often too. And they're always wanting to know what's going on, checking on him, seeing if they can help, babysit so they can give us a night out or whatever they can do. And that's really helpful too. So it's just, it takes a village for any child, but definitely with a child with autism, you've got to have that support in place. You've got to find your group. It's very helpful for your emotional well-being, if nothing else. So.
Well, I want to give you guys a little bit of a shout out because I want other families to learn from what you do so well. So one thing in particular that makes working with you such a pleasure for me is that you take amazing data. Like prior to each appointment, Brandon sends me this chart that shows, the week and what he was on and what his behaviors were like. And I really sometimes I think I want to do an instructional video with, so that we can put it out there. Parents, this is how it's done, because how many times have we been able to put something together? We've put 2 and 2 together based on that data that you keep. So, I mean, it's unbelievable how helpful that is. And I think it's played a big part in the progress that Jackson has made. So, and it makes my job easier. You guys are on top of it, and you're just so faithful in terms of, his dietary restrictions and his supplements. And, if we need to change gears, you guys are right there, and you're just really consistent and good. So yeah, you guys have got it going on. So if I want each of you to answer this question. If you were going to give advice to a family, and maybe a newly diagnosed family, Sarah, you start and tell us what advice you would give to that mom who is where you were just a few years ago.
I would say definitely take some time to think about it and absorb it, because it is very overwhelming when you get that first, when you have that aha moment of, yes, this is what's happening, or you get a diagnosis, or whatever the turning point is for you. It's very overwhelming. And so it's very good to just take some time and think about it, and kind of, for me, I'm a planner. I like to have a plan of what's going to happen, how we're going to do this. With autism, you can go in 1,000 different directions as far as how you treat it and what you do. And so you kind of have to, it's important to have a team around you that kind of helps you. I mean, you're a wonderful resource for us. I mean, we would not be where we're at today without you. And so that is very helpful for us. We feel like the therapists that he's working with are very helpful. They're part of the team. We feel like his preschool, so on board. I mean, even with all the stuff with the food allergies, they were Johnny on the spot. They were like, well, what can we do? What do we need to do? I mean, that is really, having those people in place, supporting you and on the same track as you, is very important. I think first diagnosis, take a little time and just figure out what your plan's going to be, and then try to execute the best you can. And then as far as, this emotional part of it is just, it's just one step at a time. It really is, because whenever it first happened, I had a moment where we were supposed to go into Walmart, and right after he had his 3-year wellness visit, and I had that moment, I just cried for a little while in the car. And so it's just one of those things that it's really emotional to get started. But once you do, it helps to just have one thing at a time. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get started on therapy. This is what we're going to do. We're going to get started on this diet. And just take it a piece at a time, because if you look at the whole picture, I can't do it. I can't possibly make this work. And so, and then, like I said, just putting that team together to help support you. So.
Nice. Brandon, what advice do you have?
You covered a lot of really good emotional ground, so I'll cover some practical ground. I think that parents need to realize that a lot of the time they will be the best doctor that their kid can have. And they need to be highly critical of any information that anybody tells them. And they need to look at it, and they need to not assume that everybody that has a title after their name is right. They also need to understand that the world operates very much around money, and that stuff that truly works may not be in a huge study. It just may not. And I was very guilty of this before we've run into this whole thing that we've dealt with for the last few years. Doctor tells you something, okay, all right, let's go do it. And that has not worked out necessarily well in certain cases. And I think the best voice a lot of times you can listen to is other parents. If other parents say that something's working for their child that are in a situation similar to yours, what reason do they have to lie about that? I mean, really, what reason do they have? You know what they're going through, so why would they lie? Yeah. So look at that. Doesn't mean it's going to work for your kid, but it might. I also would say that, and something I liked about you the first time we met, you said you didn't like to fly blind. So we were going to run some tests. We weren't just going to throw a bunch of stuff at him and do it. And I very much agree with that principle, because it makes no sense at all to just throw a bunch of medicine or supplements or whatever at a kid if you have no idea what is actually happening inside of them. So if somebody tries that with new parents, I would suggest that they look the other way and try to find somebody else. Determination, because the emotions will get the best of you on some days. But just try to visualize your kid down the road and what you want for them. And I can tell you, I want full, complete independence for my child to be able to live a full life the way they want to. And you have to fight for that because you are the best fighter. So study, study, study. Biology's your new field. So.
Well, you guys are just amazing parents, and Jackson is so lucky to have you, and I feel lucky to be part of your team and that you trust me to help you along with this. So thank you so much for your time today, and I hope that what we've talked about together can help a new family understand what they're dealing with and what direction to go to. So thank you so much for your time, and thanks for trusting me as your doctor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.